Hi guys, so I'm here today to film a get ready with me video because I want to talk about, originally I was going to make this video to talk about the fact that my husband and I sold our condo and are moving to it. We bought a townhouse and I was going to talk about selling my house, buying my house, how excited I am to move, and I probably will talk about that a little bit later in the video, but there's fucking Morphe drama this week because of course there is. I put up a Jaclyn Hill video about the Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 palette because I was like, I didn't want it, and then I bought it because the colors were so beautiful and it swatched so nice in store. And then I tried it on and like some of the colors were patchy. I didn't love some of the glitter formulas, and I was like, man, I was kind of like about it, which is wild because I love the original Jaclyn Hill palette. And then I saw a video from Jen Loves Reviews where she said her sister-in-law said the same thing. She bought the Jaclyn Hill original palette in 2020, this palette, the one with the new packaging, and it actually didn't perform the same as the one that Jen has. And Jen was like, well, that's weird. So she looked up the ingredients and it looks like Morphe has changed the formula. So I thought I would film a get ready with me while I apply one of these palettes. I haven't decided which one I want to play with yet. Like, a part of me wants to play with the new one just so I can try another look with it, but like I don't really want to do a bright look today. Maybe we'll go like vampy. So I'm gonna talk about this while I play with one of these palettes. I'm not going to talk about the things I'm using in the video because I am scatterbrained, so if I start trying to explain something, I forget where I am and what else I was talking about, and it's not pleasant to watch me be scatterbrained. So we're not doing that. But before I get into this video, subscribe to my channel. I upload every Tuesday and Thursday. And yeah, we're talking about fucking Jaclyn Hill and Morphe drama. What year is this? I feel like they can't have a launch that just goes fucking smoothly, and at this point I don't know who to blame anymore. So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you can kind of see my eyes better. Hello. So I'm gonna take the shade Perfectionist and take that on my crease. Okay, so basically the synopsis of Jen's video, I will leave the link to her video down below because she does some pretty informative videos. I don't like her a lot. I don't subscribe to her, but it was in my recommended, actually it was recommended a drama channel video by Dustin Daly, who I really don't like because he's kind of a hot mess, and up Jeffrey's ass. I saw his video and then I went just like, I clicked on it to see what the fuck he was talking about, and then I just went to Jen Loves Reviews videos and watched her video. And basically the moral of the story is her sister-in-law got the Jaclyn Hill original palette, but she got it for Christmas this year. So it's like, and she was like, this doesn't seem right to me. Like, I know you said you loved it and it's not performing well. And so Jen took her palette, compared it to her original palette, and she also bought a new Jaclyn Hill original Morphe palette to just make sure that her sister-in-law's wasn't like a fluke. And shockingly enough, it wasn't a fluke. What happened was Jen actually ended up looking up the formula online, and then she pulled up the formula from the original Jaclyn Hill palette from the 2017 launch, from her original video, and from from Temptalia's website. And lo and behold, the formulas weren't the same. So Jaclyn Hill has changed, or I don't know, Morphe and or Jaclyn Hill have changed the formula. The biggest red flag is that they added carmine to the new formula. And now if you don't know, carmine is crushed up bugs or crushed up beetles. So people who people who do cruelty-free and who do vegan don't support that. Vegan definitely doesn't support it. Cruelty-free, I kind of think it depends on the person because it's, I don't know, like people say like it's an animal byproduct like beeswax, but like crushed up bugs feels like you're murdering bugs. But like, so I'm not in the cruelty-free realm, but I know that vegan, people who support vegan makeup don't do carmine. And also some people, like this girl who's putting this pink shadow all over her lid that is clearly gonna have carmine in it, are allergic to carmine. So what happens to me is when I wear shadows like this for an extended period of time, after a little while, my eyelids will feel itchy, and when I take off the eyeshadows, it'll be stained and my lids will be puffy because I am allergic to these shadows. And so people, first of all, Morphe, so many, I have so many thoughts and opinions with this. First of all, a Morphe Jaclyn Hill collab just can't go off without a hitch, can it? Like, there just has to be some sort of drama. And so the issue is that in Jaclyn Hill's launch video for her second palette, she said that it's the same formula as her original palette, but now her original palette isn't the same formula either. And when she was bragging about her new formula and her like award-winning formula she has, she never mentioned that it's been altered. So people were confused when they got their new palette, and it's not the same. And honestly, I didn't even think about it when I did my original review, that it didn't even cross my mind that Morphe could be shady enough to actually alter their own formula, which, like, honestly is my fault, because it should have crossed my mind because it's Morphe. And they do shady shit all the time. Like, they clearly skimped on the manufacturing process for the Vault, and now they're changing formulas without telling anybody. And so Morphe released a statement that basically said, like, yes, we changed the it basically just said, yeah, we've changed the formula. And in Jaclyn's Reviews video, she had actually reached out to Morphe, but, like, not their PR. She had reached out to, like, their customer support, and so customer support was like, oh no, we've never changed the formula. People were like, oh, they lied. But I think what happened was, I've worked in social media, customer service, and communications, and in a large company like that, you just, sometimes you're not given the information. Like, I think if they would have changed the Jaclyn Hill formula and nobody knew about it outside of the company, customer service never would have been, probably was never told, because they didn't want anyone to know about it. Is this patchy, or is that just me? So I'm assuming customer service just didn't know that they were lying, truthfully. Remember when I said I wasn't gonna do a colorful look, and here I am. Covered in pink eyeshadow. Story of my life. So yeah, I don't think that the person lied. I just think that they probably weren't told by anyone that the formula had changed, because, like, everything that's been out to the public has said that the formula is the same. So I don't think that they would know anything differently either. But it turns out Morphe said, yeah, we did change the formula. They said it's totally normal to, like, upgrade the formula and not tell your customers about it, which I don't think is true at all. I'm pretty sure every brand has reformulated, has usually what they do is they take stuff off the shelves and they reformulate it, and then they put it back on the shelves as the new and improved version. But they didn't do that. They just released a new and improved version and moved on with their life. And also, they released their statement at 11 p.m. last night, which is a little bit sus, because last night was a Sunday, so they released their statement at 11 p.m. on a Sunday. Is that because you didn't want anyone to see your statement, or what? Because to me, it feels like a strange time to put out a public PR statement. Just my own personal perspective. So they put out that statement and basically said it's totally normal to upgrade your formula. They also said Jaclyn had no idea that we reformulated her eyeshadows. We told her that we had updated them a little bit to improve, I think it was to improve payoff. But, like, first of all, if I had created a formula, wouldn't I know what that formula is? And if someone was to upgrade my formula, wouldn't I notice it when I got the new palettes? Because they probably send her palettes all the time because she's constantly giving them out to people in her life. And not even that, but B, I'd want to be consulted, considering the whole story is that it's her personal formula. So I don't know if I buy it, because if Jaclyn did make this formula, which I believe that she did, then wouldn't she notice? Okay, this color is, this like shimmery pink color called Empowered is gorgeous. Like, wouldn't Jaclyn notice that that's a different formula, even if she didn't notice it in the original palettes? Because let's say that, you know, she just hasn't checked a new original palette. She just is using all of her old ones and she just hasn't noticed. I can give her that benefit of the doubt. But when she was making the new version 2 palette, I'm supposed to believe that Jaclyn didn't notice that the formula was completely different, because that's what I don't buy. Like, you know, I've been willing to give Jaclyn many benefits of the doubt. You know, for a while there, I was like, maybe she's just like bad at business. Like, some people just don't understand business very well. And I was willing to give her that benefit of the doubt, but she's also a makeup junkie who created her own formula, and she should know what that formula feels like, the back of her fucking hand. And she said that her and her assistant had swatched 800 million of the volume 2 palettes. She had said that her and her assistant went through those palettes and made sure that they were all swatching properly. Oh, that's pretty too. So I'm supposed to believe that she doesn't realize that this is a different formula from her original shadows, because in Jen's video, she also mentioned that, you know, the Jaclyn mattes in the original palette are a little bit grittier than the new formula. And when she said that, I was like, oh, you know what? You're right. Because when I was talking about the palette, I did say it feels a little bit, it felt like soft and buttery, whereas the original palette actually does feel kind of gritty. So I'm actually going to swatch some colors right now to see. Like, this is the shade Jax, and it is like a kind of deep red color in the palette. I don't care how a shadow swatches, but it definitely feels like a drier, grittier formula. And this is the shade Next from the Jaclyn Hill, the second palette, which I actually did put on my outer crease and is pretty, but like, it's softer, and as you can see, it's powderier than the original formula. Like, I can tell by swatching these shades that the original palette is definitely a grittier formula, and the new palette is definitely a softer formula. And those are the mattes. Like, you can say like, oh, they introduced new shimmers, like the kind of the glittery ones. I understand they're like a new formula, but the mattes aren't a new formula. The mattes are the original matte formula, except that they're not the original matte formula. It's completely different than the new one. And the other issue with that is that people are saying your original palette was vegan. You told people that your palette was vegan, and now it's not, and you never corrected that. So you're hoping that people who have, you know, who shop consciously, I'm using my Tati palette as my mirror. I'm just trying to like hold it without getting my finger in all of the glitters so that I can hold it closer to my face and just kind of finish this up. You're hoping that people who are conscious shoppers, who, you know, don't buy non-vegan formulas, won't notice that your palette that used to be vegan isn't anymore. And like, that's shady. And first of all, I think if you're going to upgrade a formula that is that successful, like if NARS was to change their blush formula, they would have to tell somebody about it, because NARS's blush formula is like an iconic formula. Whereas this is, Jaclyn Hill kept raving when she was doing her press and her stuff for her second palette that her original formula was award-winning, that it was like world famous. She said all this fucking shit about it, only to learn that that world famous, amazing formula has been changed. I stuck my hands in a Toddy glitter, so if there's glitter on my face when I do my face, we're just gonna live with it. I'm gonna zoom you out so we can do the face. So yeah, I'm like, first of all, I hate myself because I fucking got duped by Morphe again. Like, why do I keep trusting Jaclyn and Morphe? And like, at this point, like, they put out their statement, also said that like Jaclyn had no idea, but like I said, I don't fucking believe that. I don't think, like, this whole situation is just shady as fuck. And Morphe can say that it's totally normal to upgrade your formulas and hope no one noticed. But if you change your formula from vegan to not vegan, or cruelty-free to not cruelty-free, bitches, you better tell somebody, because people are gonna notice that, and that is so fucking rude to your consumers, straight up. I'm using the Hangover RX primer because it is really dry and wintry in Canada this week. So yeah, I am just, honestly, I keep saying I'm done with Morphe and I keep buying their stuff because I have a problem, but I think this is just like me like actually being done with Jaclyn and Morphe. Like, there's no way that Jaclyn didn't know her formula changed. Even if Morphe didn't tell her, she is a makeup guru. She created this formula. She understands makeup more than most people. So she could touch that eyeshadow and tell it's not the same as her old fucking eyeshadow formula, and we know it. She could put that shit on her lids and understand it's not the same as her old eyeshadow formula, and we know it. So I'm annoyed by everybody, and it's shady of Morphe to do this in the first place. It must be that this formula is cheaper to manufacture. There's no other reason that Jaclyn and Morphe would change this formula unless this was a cheaper to manufacture formula than what Jaclyn originally made for her palette, because there's no other reason they would reformulate a palette that got rave reviews. It's Morphe's like best palette ever. Everyone loved the original Jaclyn Hill palette. There's no way that they would ever do that without there being a reason, and the reason is that it's got to be cheaper. And the only reason that foundation lightener. And the only reason they would do that if it was cheaper, and the only reason they wouldn't tell people that it was a better formulation, is because it's not a better formulation. It's a cheaper formulation, and they were just hoping that nobody would notice. And all of those 2017 reviews that are out there from people raving about this foundation are now wrong. Like, Jaclyn's review actually removed her original review because she said, well, it doesn't stand anymore because this is no longer the palette I reviewed. So they basically waited for this palette to be hyped, saw that it was amazing, and instead of saying, wow, we have an amazing palette, we should make more with this formula, we should, you know, ride this train and make a second palette, which makes total sense to me. They said, oh, let's make a shittier formula, replace it when we do the new packaging, which is probably when that happened. And then we just won't tell anyone, so people will buy it based off the original influencer reviews and the original reviews out there, and then we'll make money off of scamming people. And that's shitty as fuck, and it makes me just, you know, continue to fucking hate Morphe. I keep saying I'm done with them, but this makes me really want to be done with them. I don't even think Jaclyn has put out a statement, which is also kind of annoying. Like, she really just wants Morphe to take the fall for this for her, but she needs to either learn how to be a businesswoman or just go back to just being a reviewer, because she is terrible at running a business and at being a businesswoman and at replying to crises. I understand that she is under the microscope, and there are some YouTubers that just get attacked more than others. Like, I get it, but if she isn't, she's not responding. She never has been good at responding, and when she responds, she gives non-answers and doesn't respond to the actual issue. And I'm sure she'll do the exact same thing here. So that's all I've got on the Morphe situation. I'm going to talk about the fact that I bought a house, because that's happiness, and Jaclyn's bringing me down. So my husband and I bought a condo in the GTA 5 years ago. So our mortgage is up in April, and so we started thinking, like, do we want to renew our mortgage for another 5 years, or do we want to maybe we want to buy a house? And we kind of decided that, like, I love my condo, like, a lot, but it's a 1-bedroom plus den and what has an open concept living space. So really it's like one big living space with an open concept kitchen, a bedroom, and a den. And this den is tiny. Like, that's how big it is. You're on the far wall, that's the other far wall. It's not even small. It's not even big enough for it to ever be like a second bedroom. It would, like, a bed wouldn't fit in here. Maybe a futon would, but, like, then that would be your whole room. So it's always been like my office / makeup room, which is fine, but we want more space. My husband is the bass player in a band, and so he over the last 5 years has accumulated many musical instruments. If you have a husband or spouse or friend in music, you know, he's got like 2 giant amps that live in my living room. He has 2 bass guitars hanging on the wall. He has a 3rd guitar. At one point he had my camera just stopped recording. So I don't know where I was off, but basically my husband has a bunch of musical shit. We have a tiny balcony, we have a tiny house, and we kind of decided like we want to get more space. So, you know, we want a backyard somewhere where we can barbecue, and by we, I mean he can barbecue, so I don't have to make dinner every night. And we want a space where, you know, he can have a basement so that he can have all of his jam stuff down there, and like, it's not decoration in my living room. And you know, so we decided to list our place actually in December before I went away to the Philippines, but I came home with the worst flu in the entire world. So I was actually bedridden for 3 weeks with the flu. So didn't really get around to, you know, listing the place, but we had talked to our real estate agent. We had like reached out to our mortgage advisor for, a pre-approval for a mortgage, etc., because like we wanted to upsize. So we did all that stuff, and so we finally listed our place. Actually, so like I finally felt better like mid-January, because I literally, like I said, I was sick for like a month. But I finally felt better mid-January, and so that's when we started reaching out to our real estate agent, to our mortgage guy, getting everything finalized, and so we decided to list our house. So we listed our house. I think it was like the first week of February, where my husband got sick, and we listed the house, and the day it went on the market, I got a call from our real estate agents, or brokerage, I guess you would call it. Like, it wasn't my agent, it was like her brokerage. They called me to be like, hey, someone wants to see your house. This was 9:15 in the morning, and I said, okay, and they said at 9:30, and I said, no. Like, first of all, I'm still half asleep at 9 o'clock in the morning. I know I'm technically working at that time, but like I'm still half asleep. And like also I was like, you have to like, I had to like tidy up my house. I didn't think this would happen so fast. But it happened fast as fuck. There were like 10 viewings the first day, and we sold our house the first day. I'm gonna put on mascara and I'll be back. We're back with mascara on. So we had, I think, like 4 offers day one. We had an offer presentation that night, but there were like 2 we were going between. One was a couple and one was an investor. And I'll be honest with you, I don't like the idea of investors because they're ruining the real estate market for everyone else, and I would rather sell my house to someone who would live in it. But my issue was closing date. For me, closing date was so important because we hadn't found a house yet, and I didn't want to be homeless or, God forbid, have to go back and live with my mother for a month or 2. That is just not something your girl wanted to do, okay? Maybe some of you would love to live with your mom again. Me, not so much. So, closing date was important, and the investor gave us a better closing date. So I went with that offer. And then the next day, my real estate agent calls me and says, they haven't dropped off the deposit check yet. So if you don't know, when you buy a house, you drop off a deposit check to the real estate brokerage the next day as like, kind of like a sign of good faith, but also like to show how serious you are. And the deposit is it's like a deposit. You're basically holding a house until the closing date. And then it comes off the price. It like counts towards whatever your down payment is in the end. So she goes, they're supposed to drop off the check by 3 p.m. the next day, and they didn't. And so she calls the other real estate agent, and basically what happened was the investor just got bad vibes from my house and heard that the property manager of this condo building wasn't the best. Which, like, first of all, anyone that's lived in a condo knows that there's no such thing as like good property managers. You know, we all talk about landlords and how shitty they are, and a property manager is basically just a big ass landlord, and they all kind of suck. So he got bad vibes, and so my house was back on the market, and I was pissed. So we put it back on the market, and my real estate agent actually called the original couple. They put another offer, and they increased their closing date because they knew that that's what my issue was, and we sold it to them. And I'm way happier because I would rather sell to, like I said, a couple than a investor, because investors are just driving up the market. They're just renting out properties so that people who are looking to buy don't have anything to buy. So then we set the closing date. We basically sold our house, I think, on February 6th, and the closing date we set for June 15th. So we had like a decent amount of time to find a house, but I was still panicky because you have to think that you have to then get a closing date on the other end. And you have to give that person time to move out of their house. So we started looking, and the first few times we looked, there was nothing out there. And then we found the most perfect. The issue for us was what our like needs for the townhouse were. We wanted a 3-bedroom because we need our own bedroom. I need an office / makeup room because I do this and I also work from home. And we wanted a spare bedroom so that, you know, if we had people come over, they could stay over, right? So we wanted that. We also wanted a backyard, like I said, and we wanted a basement so that my husband could have a jam space. I didn't realize that wanting a basement would be such a difficult thing to find in this area. I don't know what it was, but lots of places just didn't have basements. Lots of, like, I was looking for a townhome. You know, I would have loved to have found like a freehold townhouse, which basically means there's no condo fees, but those are even more expensive. And yeah, lots of places just didn't have basements, which is so weird to me because like everywhere I've ever lived has had a basement. But then we found the most perfect townhouse. It has a garage, which was also kind of important for us because we looked at a place we really liked that had a huge basement, but there was no garage, and it was just like outdoor parking in a parking lot. And I was like, and you only got one parking spot also, which is weird with a 3-bedroom because like you think with a 3-bedroom you get at least 2 parking spots. We only got 1. And while I personally don't drive, I would like the option to at one point in my life, and like I just felt like with this I would never have the option because you could never, like, there was no way to get another parking spot unless you were like renting it from somebody else, and like who has time for that? So it had a garage, it had a basement that was finished with a huge space in it with a huge laundry room down there, with a huge storage room down there. It had 3 bedrooms upstairs with an ensuite bathroom that I'm putting a tub in, a bigger tub in, because bathtubs are important for me. And it had a nice big open concept living room, kitchen, dining room area, and it had a backyard. It literally was everything to me. So we went in there, we offered on this house, and we actually met with the buyer. She had actually lived there for 17 years. And so her son was her real estate agent. And so we like presented our offer to her, and like we like chatted a little bit, and basically I charmed my way into a house. Like she told me there were other offers that were more than ours, but she kind of did the same thing I did. Like she would rather have somebody in her house that she knew was going to appreciate it the way she did. And she knew, like, she could, I guess she got the vibes from us that we like really loved this house. And so she picked us to give her house to, which, like, praise the Lord. I don't believe in anything, but if there is one, thank you, sir. So yeah, that's basically what happened. So we bought a house. It closes May 15th. So our current house closed June 15th. So what we actually did was we basically reached out to our buyers and said, hey, do you want to move in on, do you want to get possession May 30th instead? And they were like, absolutely. So we actually have our house for, like, we're doing what you call a bridge loan. So you basically own 2 properties because your house doesn't close until after. But that also gives us 2 weeks to move in, which I would prefer because I want to go in the first week and do a couple renos. And I also want to, you know, it's just easier to be able to, like, I'm basically going to we get possession May 15th, which is the long weekend here. I think it's Victoria Day long weekend. And then the next weekend we're gonna move in, so we have a full week to go in. Like, first of all, you bring a carload of shit every single day, and then you have all like the little shit in the boxes and stuff out of your house. So you're just doing, on the moving day, you're just doing like big furniture in the truck. And second of all, I have time to paint and do renos and stuff without the house being full of stuff and without having to like try to live in it. So I'm excited about all of that. I'm going to put on eyeliner and I will be back. We're linered up. We are going to set the face. So yeah, part of the reason I'm telling you guys this is because I will be doing some like home content coming up. I'm gonna do an empty house tour once we get there. I'm gonna maybe film some of the Reno stuff just because like I've been loving watching Robbie DeChristy's Reno videos lately and like I want to do that. And yeah, just because like I'm fucking excited and I'm gonna be filming moving shit, moving content. So Reno wise, what we're going to do is there's a small wall like behind the kitchen island that I want to knock down just so it's more open concept. I think there's like a load-bearing beam underneath it, but I'd rather an exposed beam than a wall. I want to put new kitchen countertops on because right now they're like a cheap black, like just the really cheap black ones. And I want to actually put on white countertops, and right now the floor is kind of marble and the backsplash is like a light white marble, and so I want to paint all of my cabinets black and then do a white countertop. A black kitchen is my dream. I'm doing a black accent wall in my living room, which is what I currently have in my living room. Black and white is basically the theme of my new house. If I could do it all black, I probably would. So we want to get that done. I also want to get there's carpeting on the stairs right now. Like downstairs has hardwood and upstairs has carpet, and I'm okay with the upstairs having carpet. Like I really don't want to have to put hardwood up there right now. But I'd like to rip the carpet up on the stairs and then just paint the stairs. Like I think I want to paint the banister too because there's like it's like a wood color with white. So I'm either going to paint the banister white or I'm going to paint like the little rods white and then the top, like the handle part black, and then I'm going to paint the stairs black and white. Did I mention I like black and white? And then I also want to put a bigger bathtub in the ensuite bathroom because I'm a bathtub ass bitch. I actually just moved my best friend into a new place yesterday. There was no bathtub in it and I went, ew, there's no bathtub. You can live here? But she's not a bathtub ass bitch, so. This is beautiful. I'm gaga. I haven't worn this in 100 years. But I put a brown lipstick underneath it just so that it would look a little less aggressive because it's a very aggressive pink. And then the only other thing we want to do to the house is my husband has to look at soundproofing the basement. There's a like, basically you walk down the stairs and there's like on your left there's a storage room. Then you walk a little bit more, there's your laundry room, and then at the very end of the hallway there's like a big open room that currently is like basically like a second kind of living room. It has like a TV and stuff in it, but he wants to make it a jam space, so we're looking at soundproofing that space or at least putting a door on it. So yeah. I bought a house. Morphe's a hot mess, and that's the moral of this video. Let me know if you'd want to see any house content or what kind of house content you would want to see, because like I don't know how much of the rent I'll be able to film because like I'm not gonna do a lot of it myself. Like my uncle's a carpenter, or sorry, a contractor, so he'll be doing a lot of it for me, and like I don't want, he's not like an on-camera kind of man, so I'm not gonna try to film him, but I will do like some before and after stuff, and like maybe I'll do like an empty home tour when it's like first done, and then I'll show you the places that I've renoed and kind of what it looks like after. But yeah, I'm stoked. I can't wait to move, but I don't move till May 15th, till like middle of May, so now I just wait and think about all the things I want to buy and put in my new house. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what you guys think about the Jaclyn Hill palette drama and the formula. Like, are you guys over Jaclyn Hill? Are you done trusting her? Because like I keep giving her I don't know why I keep giving her a fucking second chance or why I keep trying her products. They just keep letting me down and I'm super bummed. I will say like this eyeshadow look is bomb today. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like it's beautiful. Although I am gonna be itchy in like an hour. Yay! So thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you next time. Bye!